Welcome everyone to yoga therapy for Tuesday evening. We're going to be lying on our back and moving into the hips, which is the nexus point between the legs and feet and lower back. So all of that will also be involved. So just lie on your back and find a comfortable position for yourself. Your legs can be bent or they can be straight, your choice. And just settling in. You like hands on the belly. And making a ha sound as you exhale. Inhale, expand the belly. Exhale. Inhale, expand the belly. Now, as you do this, start to notice how this feels in your body. So as you inhale, maybe you'll feel the lower back arch away from the ground, and you can even put your hands in there and feel that. And as you exhale, feel your lower back move to the ground. And if you put your hands in that little curve that your lower back creates, you'll feel this even more. If it's comfortable, moving to Brahmari, the bee breath. As you exhale. And do this in your own timing. You probably notice your exhale gets longer as you add the Brahmari breath. Inhale, expanding the belly to the sky. Exhale, draw it in. And if you choose, you may add the Om sound to this. This is said to be the sound of the Alpha, Omega, and everything before, in between, and after. Primordial sound of the universe. It has three parts blended together, a, u, and a silence afterwards. Inhale. Inhale. Just rest for a moment. Just moving into those hips right away. It's a great beginning pose. You know, if you're just lying down to do yoga at home, you're not sure what to do, just start with some breathing and then just move into these windshield wipers or jatra parivriti. It doesn't mean windshield wipers in Sanskrit. It means the twisting parivriti of the jatra, the fire in the belly, the jatra agni. Agni means fire. So there's this little campfire in your belly. And like a pendulum movement back and forth called samana vayu. We're moving side to side, fanning the fire of the gut. As you exhale, twist, we're moving toxins of body and mind. As you inhale, filling up, expanding that fire. You can visualize that if you like. And then exhale, removing toxins of body and mind. And inhale, center. Now I'm moving to Ujjayi Pranayama, closing the mouth, breathing through the nose, constricting the throat. It sounds like a ha sound or like the ocean. If this doesn't work for you at any time, add the B breath, add the ha breath, or just exhale, whatever works for you. Now, if you like, you can add a twist of the opposite hand down, and you can turn also the head away from those twisted knees. Inhale, center, the head goes center. Exhale the other way, twisting the head just a little bit or a lot, and the palm turning down, so the knees one direction, and the hand and head the other direction. This can be very soothing for the nervous system. This technique comes from somatic experiencing. And many of my students enjoy the effect on the neck and shoulders as well. I know some of you have neck shoulder issues who are in the class today. Maybe some of you can add a hold after exhale, just staying in the position. And holding 2 to 5 seconds, engaging from the pelvic floor up before you move to the next one. That's your choice. Do this in your own timing. It's very simple. Just enjoy that stillness. And that could be your practice. You could do this just before you go to bed and then just do some more breathing, counting your breath, and that could be your practice. Nice to do a counter pose after that. So we're going to do a moving apanasana. Just going to move my mat a bit, so a bit more space. So we're going to do knees to chest. And we're going to do it with hip movement. So knees coming to chest as you exhale, and then as you inhale, open those hips. Exhale, draw them towards the center and in. And inhale, opening. Now, if you're finding this difficult to get your knees to your chest, you can add a pillow, or if you have one of these fancy yoga blocks, you can put that underneath your pelvis as high as your waist, and that will just help you get a little bit deeper into it. So that's my preference, just because of the shape of my back. It just depends on your back. You can also do it without the hands, which I've been experimenting with, and really it makes you use that root lock much more, like you're pulling it on a string rather than with your hands. You can visualize that. You can move the other direction now if you like. Exhale, coming into the center. Inhale, coming away and opening up. Exhale, bringing the knees in, draw them together in the center, and inhale away and opening up. Just keep this going. And again, you can use your hands, especially if you want to work with your shoulders that could be a nice secondary movement for you. So just experiment with what works best for you. Just warming up those hips in all directions now. And when you're ready, release. We're going to remove the block or pillow if you have that. And just going back to a version of Jatra Paravritti. This time we're just going to bring down one knee at a time. And I think we did this last week. So one knee is facing up and the other one is coming down. So inhale, center, exhale, one knee comes down while the other goes up, and draw that belly in. So the twist is about removing toxins, and physically we're working with the hip flexor, the thigh, giving a nice stretch. Reach that knee towards the big toe. Just feel that nice stretch. And I don't know about you, but yoga at the end of the day is such a different experience because it's kind of like you're just cleansing from your day rather than preparing for it. So, you know, you might get lost in some sort of narrative about something going on in your life and then come back to the practice and just know that you're creating some space now in your mind and body for you just coming back to yourself away from the busyness of the mind and its many thoughts. Coming into the body. Through the breath. Experiencing the mind more somatically now as an organ of sensation. When you're ready, we're going to do those windshield wipers again, but we're just going to stay on one side. So I'm going to start with the left, my left. And if this is not comfortable, you can put pillows or bolsters under the legs. So I'm just going to show that. I know some of you are doing this in bed, so you might have a pillow or something. Actually, I'll show it on the other side so you can see, hopefully, that you would use as a landing pad. You can do it any way that works for your body. Some of my students do it like this, for example. Okay, so for some people, it's just not comfortable not having something to come to. So keep that in mind. You can also use blocks. Something like this. So just breathing there. If you want something harder, you can put the outside foot on top of the inner thigh and take it up a notch. You can add some movement. Inhale, pressing the hips to the left. Exhale, release. The arms can be any height that's comfortable. The palms can be up or down. Classically, they are down because we're doing this away from the ground like this, and this is pretty hard on the core. But this is an easy version. When you're ready, switching sides. Inhale, center, exhale, other side. Whatever version you're doing, adding those blocks, bolster, making it harder by crossing the outer foot on top of the inner thigh, adding that movement if you like. Inhale, extend the hips to the right, exhale, release. And when you're ready, coming out of that, I'm going to do legs to the sky. I'm going to put a block under my hips. You do not have to do this. So starting with the Apanasana, knees to chest, you can use those hands or not. So that's the first pose, Apanasana, that downward flow of energy. This is for grounding. Also feels nice on the lower back. Then inhale, legs to the sky. Now, as you bring your legs to the sky, if you like, you can bring your arms to the floor behind you. You could have a bolster behind those arms, or you could just bend the elbows like this, just to make it accessible for you. So that's your inhale, exhale, knees to your chest. And inhale, legs and arms coming up to your place. Now I'm flexing my toes towards my nose as I inhale, and exhale, I'm pointing my toes. Just get a bit more circulation going. So many of us, when we sit all day, our legs swell. And I'm definitely one of those people. So it's such a different experience practicing evening versus morning. So this is a great way to get the venous blood return to the heart and pooling that's happening in those legs and any other fluids that are pooling, just helping those circulate through the lymphatic system, which carries all the waste. Doing a very gentle version. This is just a counter pose. Okay, we're going to work a little bit more with the hips in this pose. Let's bring the legs up to the sky. And again, you can have that block under the lower back, and this actually helps with the venous blood return to the heart. It's just having that little lift just through gravity. And if it's comfortable, you inhale, open your legs apart, and get into the inner thighs, the groin. And I'm pointing the toes. Exhale, bringing your legs together. Now, if you do this slowly on the exhale, you can actually activate your core, or your mula bandha, as we call it in yoga. Inhale, open. Start to exhale and feel like the pelvic floor to the belly button is moving your legs together. It's a very different feeling. So see if you can get that activated. Sometimes having the feet a little further away from you can help. Just make sure you've got room. You're not going to crash into anything. You can also do this at the wall if you've got a wall to slide your legs along. For example, I've done this with a headboard on a bed or a wall at the end of the bed. You do it with your core, you might feel a little bit of shaking. It's getting into the groin, the inner thighs, just stretching that out. Now, if it's comfortable, we're going to stay in the open position. Again, you could do this at the wall, have your legs at the wall. You can hold your legs open with your hands on your thighs. Some of you might be able to hold your calves or even your big toes. Now, if you have 2 yoga belts, you could put a belt on each foot as well. And you might, if you are holding your toes, You might want to remove that block to stretch into the lower back as well. Actually, even if you're doing this version, you might prefer removing that block to stretch the lower back as well as the legs. Supta Utta Vishta Konasana. It's a lying version of a pose that's often done seated. Probably all done this before, seated and doing a forward bend in this pose. So this is the lying version of that. When you're ready, bringing your legs up and bring them down. Just take a rest, feet wide, angle the knees in, rest, or stretch your legs long and rest. You can have your feet at the wall in Suptasana. Supine resting pose, Suptasana. Just resting. You might feel some downward flow of energy down the back of the legs from the pelvis down to the feet. That's the Apanavayu flowing, that energy down, grounding. All right. Okay, so we're going to play with a vinyasa for the hips. So we're going to do one leg at a time. You're going to inhale. We're going to bring one arm up. So I'm going to start on my right, just so you can see me well here. Inhale, arm up. Now, again, if this is not accessible, you can put a bolster behind, or you can bend the elbow. So inhale, arm up. Exhale, drawing that right leg in as the arm comes down. Inhale, arm up, open the hip. Exhale, close the hip. The hand comes down by the side. Inhale, stretch the leg long. Exhale, arm down. We're going to do the other side. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, drag the left leg in using the core from the pelvic floor to the belly button as the hand comes down. Inhale, open that left hip as you bring the arm up. Exhale, draw the leg in using the pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, that mula root strength. Inhale, extend the leg, bring the arm up. And exhale, bring the arm down. We're going to keep this going side to side. Inhale, right arm up. Nod the chin in if you can. Exhale, draw that right heel in. Using the core strength, bringing the foot on the ground. Inhale, opening the hip. Exhale, closing the hip. So it's wonderful for the hip, the lower back, the leg. Inhale, extend. Exhale, arm down. Other side, inhale, left arm up. Exhale, draw the left leg in. Drag that heel in. Knee is facing up. Inhale, open the hip. Exhale, close the hip. Use that core to close the hip. Inhale, extend the leg, arm comes up. Stretch long. Exhale, arm comes down by your sides. Now we're going to do both legs if it's comfortable, or just do one leg at a time. Inhale, arms coming up, both arms. Exhale, drag both legs in. This might be a little bit challenging. Inhale, open the hips, arms come up. Exhale, close the hips, using the core, Mula Bandha, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. Do it very slowly. Feel like your core strength is closing your legs. Inhale, extend your legs down. Exhale, arms coming down. Now you might want to do this folding your mat just so you can drag a little bit better. That's your choice. Inhale, arms coming up. Exhale, drag the legs in. Inhale, open up. Exhale, center. Inhale, legs stretching long. Exhale, arms coming down. So this is a combination of Tadaka Mudra and Supta Baddha Konasana. Inhale, arms coming up, the legs are long now. Exhale, using your core strength, drag those legs up. Again with a mat, it's a little tough. You might get caught there, so it is nice to do without a mat. Inhale, opening the hips. This time we're going to stay in this position. If this is not comfortable for your hips, you can put blocks underneath the legs. You can also put a bolster underneath the knees. So I'll just show that. If you don't have a bolster, you can use a pillow. And your arms don't have to be overhead if it's not comfortable. And if you're comfortable doing it without any props, of course you can do that. If you want to keep it moving, if it's uncomfortable, you can exhale, draw the legs together, and inhale, open. So I'm going to do that version myself, but you can stay open if you prefer. If you have arthritis in your hips, it might be better to keep it moving. Some of you might prefer to just stay open. To do this, if you're moving, you'll use that core strength to draw your legs together. So feel like your hips are heavy and your core is pulling them in, like reeling in a big fish. If you've ever done fishing, the fishing line is your breath and your core. Feel the movement of the pelvis underneath you. And lower back coming to the floor as you do that exhale. Inhale, the lower back moving away from the floor. So this is a back arch. You might be ready to stay now and breathe. Supta Baddha Konasana. Feel differences between sides. You can play with just doing one side versus the other as well. That's a really nice way to get into one hip at a time. So that might feel better for you. It's just doing one side and staying there. The arms could be overhead or anywhere that's comfortable for your shoulders. When you're ready, closing those hips. For some of you, that can be quite uncomfortable, so hopefully you're okay. We're going to do a counter pose. Again, I'm going to put a block under my lower back. You don't have to. No higher than the waist. Exhale, knees to the chest. Inhale, knees away. Just simple apanasana. Exhale, knees to the chest. I'm going to do this without the hands. So I'm going to add a hold after exhale, 2 to 5 seconds. And inhale, knees away. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Hold after exhale, pulling the belly in. The legs can be apart if you want to create space for the belly. It feels uncomfortable. And if you just ate dinner recently, I would definitely skip the hold after exhale if you have any heaviness in the gut. And just finishing up. And bringing those legs down. Okay, so lots of hip openers tonight. I'm gonna keep that block underneath my hips. You do not have to do this. I'm gonna cross one leg over the other. I'm gonna start with the right side so you can see me well with the position I'm in. And this might be your pose. So inhale here, opening the hip, exhale, cross the knee over to the other shoulder. So that might be your pose. Inhale, open, and exhale, close. If that feels quite easy for you, you might want to do this version of apanasana with creating this figure 4 shape with your legs and maybe holding under the left thigh. Now, if you're feeling any strain in the knee, you do not want to feel that. Just adjust where your foot is until you don't feel any strain. The other thing you can do in this pose is you can come to the wall if you've got one readily available and do this at the wall and keep the lower back flat on the ground and just work on opening the hip as you inhale and then exhale, release. And this can be very effective as well. This is getting into that piriformis, which in many people is very tight, can exacerbate sciatic pain. So whatever version you'd like to do, you can do a combination. I'm just going to do the wall version. And we're going to switch sides. Notice one side might be different than the other. Now, if you've got more tightness, you can go away from the wall and it will create a bit more space. So this is my tighter side, so I'm moving a bit more away from the wall just to give myself more space to move. So inhale, opening, just putting slight pressure on the inner thigh above the knee joint. And then exhale, you can bring it over to the other shoulder. Inhale, open. Exhale, cross. And stay in the opening. Okay, I'm going to do one more round of this. You can do a different version if you like. So if you were at the wall, you can have the block. Or you might go to the wall and just stay in the pose. Let's just do a different version of it and just see if you can take a little deeper now. Exhale, drawing in, inhale away. So I'm doing the away from the wall version. You can do this with a block or without. And switching sides after you've done around 6. Just notice any differences in sides. One of the reasons I use this block is just to help keep the pelvis even, because you don't want to twist the pelvis when you're doing this, which can happen really easily. When you have tightness in the hips, sometimes your pelvis will try to compensate. You can just adjust where your hands are according to your hips, what you need. After you've done around 6, taking a break, knees to chest. Just rest here and hold on top of the knees, or with knee issues, you might want to hold underneath the knees. And just rest. All right. Okay, so we're going to move a little bit into some strengthening work. So we're going to start with our leg movements that we did last week. So inhale, the right arm coming up overhead to your place. Again, you can have that pillow behind you, or you can just bend the elbow. Exhale, bringing your right leg up. Inhale, arm comes up, leg comes down. Exhale, leg comes up, arm comes down. You can add some movement of the feet by, when you exhale, flexing the toes towards the nose, inhale, pointing. We're going to do this 6 times on the right and then switch sides. And if you get cramping, that can happen, so don't worry. It's just sometimes what happens. You can always bend that opposite leg. Sorry, I forgot to mention that, to make it easier. And try to move the leg using the core strength, especially as you exhale. Okay, we're going to go to the other side. So I'm going to show it that bent opposite leg, because I think for most of you that will be better. And then I just want to talk about decompressing the hip as you do this. As you inhale, stretching the toes away from the hip and the hand away from the hip. Feel a big stretch in the side body, and then exhale. Can you bring that leg up using the core strength from the pelvic floor to the lower belly? And then inhale, extend away, create space, create sukham, create softness, create space. And exhale, create sthiram, create strength. So it's in our practice, we want a balance of sthiram, strength, and sukham, softness, openness, space. Inhale, extend, create that space in the hip. We're focusing on the hip. And exhale in. After you've done this around 6 times, just finishing up. This is great for the legs, the feet, and the hip, especially with this actually bent leg version. Okay, so we're gonna now just stretch the leg, having done all of that. So bring that right leg up, hold underneath the thigh, and just stretch that leg nice and long. You can straighten the opposite leg if you like. You could hold the big toe, you could use a belt, but I'm just going to do this simply here. If you like, you can exhale, bend the knee into the chest, inhale, extend. Just doing it without the belt tonight, just a different version, a little bit more what they do in Chennai, India, just holding the thigh. It's great for the knee. A lot of you with knee issues, so just bringing this back in. Less strenuous than using the belt version. Do the stretch in the opposite hip if you can straighten that leg. If you're on a bed, you could actually hang that left leg over the edge of the bed to get deeper into that hip. When you're ready, you're going to switch sides. Inhale, extend the leg. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, left arm coming up, pointing those toes. Exhale, bringing that left leg up, holding underneath the thigh, perhaps bending the opposite knee. Staying here, or exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten, perhaps straightening that opposite leg. Try to drop that left hip down as you do this. Inhale, straighten, exhale, bend. Some of you might be able to hold the big toe, but that's not really our focus tonight. That's a deeper stretch. This is a dynamic stretch. Let's see if you can give that opposite hip a stretch as well. Okay. All right. So we're going to go on to our right side body. So working all around the hip here and lying with your legs bent. Or you're going to straighten your top leg. Anantasana. Now, if this is hurting your neck, you can put a pillow or a block under your head and just have your arms in front, okay? So if it's not comfortable to lie on that arm, which I'm going to show, you can use a pillow. Now, both legs can be straightened, that's classical. I'm going to bend the bottom one for balance, but also for decompressing that hip a bit more, that top hip. So inhale, extend that left leg away from you and stretch that left hip as much as you can. Exhale, bring the leg up as the hand comes down by your thigh. Inhale, extend it long and decompress that hip. Exhale, release. Now you might not even know your hip was compressed until you did this pose, which is what I'm experiencing right now. It's like, oh, my hip actually is a bit compressed today. All that computer work, there it is. And I didn't have pain, but I can just see that this is decompressing that hip. This is also strengthening the hip. And if this is too much, you can also just do a clamshell, inhale, open, exhale, close, okay, which we've really prepared for. So you're doing this around 6 times or until you tire. If you tire before I finish, just take a break at any time. This can be intense. And when you're ready, just rest. Okay, we're going to go on to the belly. And we're going to work the back of the hips before we do the other side. Okay, so we're going around the world on this one. So you can put your forehead on folded hands, or you can use a block or a pillow underneath your forehead. And we're just going to start by tucking the toes underneath. And I think we did this last week, maybe. You're going to inhale, straighten those legs. And feel that strengthening the legs and the hips. And exhale, release. Forehead on folded hands or on a pillow. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, release. And this is great for the knees. It's also strengthening the back of the hips, the buttocks. Now, if that feels good, you can add a leg lift. Keep your head down. Inhale, straighten the legs and lift one leg up. Exhale, release and relax the knees and the legs. Other side, inhale, straighten the legs, lift the opposite leg up. Exhale, coming down. It's a version of Shalabhasana. Ekapada, Shalabhasana, locust. Side to side. And you can do both legs at once if you want. I'm going to keep doing one at a time. Around 6 rounds, or rest whenever you get tired. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the left hip. I've got my back to you, so you can just see that we're going around in a circle here. Your bottom leg is bent, your right leg is straight. Stretching away. I've got my head on my left arm. You can use a pillow instead. Inhale, right arm comes up in line with my ear. I stretch my right toes away. Exhale, bring the right leg up as the hand comes down. Inhale, extend, stretch away. Decompress that hip. Exhale, strengthen that hip. Keep the knee facing forward the whole time. Inhale, extend. Create space. Create sukham. Exhale, create sthiram. Create strength. Just keep that going. Doing this 6 to 8 times or until you tire. One side might be quite different than the other. And just finishing up by lying on your back again. It's back to the beginning. Just rest for a moment with your feet wide, knees angled in. And just rest. You can stay like this if you like, or adding a bolster or a pillow underneath the legs. This is not enough support. You can take that bolster up on its sides. And just completely rest. You can also have your legs up on a chair or a couch or an ottoman. And yeah, if you need to bring your knees to your chest first, feel free to do a further counter pose of knees to chest. And just resting here. Just doing some breath work. Inhale, expand the belly. Exhale, contract the belly. Now, if you like, you can add a little bit of weight to this by putting a block or a pillow or even a sandbag or a bag of rice or beans on your belly as you breathe, just to help you with that diaphragmic breathing. Inhale, expand the belly. Exhale, draw the belly in, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. And a hold after exhale if it's comfortable, lower back on the ground. Inhale, expand the belly to the sky. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. Hold after exhale, lower back on the floor. And keep this going in your own timing. And if you like, counting the breath, inhale 4 to 10 seconds. Exhale the same count. Hold after exhale, the same length as your exhale if it's a small amount, or half the length of your exhale if your exhale is quite long. So for example, inhale 6, exhale 6, hold 3 seconds, or it might be inhale 4, exhale 4, hold 2, or maybe even 4 seconds, your choice. Might be a square breath, or, well, actually a triangular breath. Inhale 3, exhale 3, hold 3. So no hold after inhale, the square breath. See what your capacity is. Ujjayi pranayama, constricting the throat. Making that ha sound, that oceanic sound through the valve of the throat. You can keep this going, or just let go of the breath and just rest, observing the natural rise and fall of the breath. If your mind gets busy when you do that, go back to the pranayama, counting the breath. It's a breathing technique that you can do as you're trying to fall asleep at night, or if you wake up in the middle of the night. Inhale, let. Exhale, go. Inhale, om. Exhale, namo. Just finishing up. When you're ready, starting to move the hands and feet. You can just stay here or close with me by coming to one side, resting here for a moment. And coming up to seated, or just keep lying down if seated is not accessible for you. Or if you just want to keep resting. Thank you very much. Namaste. Namaskaram. Bow to that in you, which is the same as that in me, the same as that in all. Namaste. Thank you.